What's going on, beautiful people? Long time no see. You know, dealing with trying to make this summer bread. Y'all know what it is. So for today's video, I want to get straight into it. Basically, I'm just going to be explaining about some of the things that I wish I had known when I was first transitioning. I definitely have a list of things I didn't really count on, because as I was writing them down, I was like, oh, let me put this in. Oh, let me put this in. Oh, let me put this in. And I know I'm just going, what's it called? Talk about the obvious thing right now. Y'all looking at my hair. Curls is gone once again and went straight to the low cut. We're gonna bring some waves back. You know, I got some, you know, after all these years, I finally got a little beard or whatever growing in. But let me just get straight into the video so y'all know what's happening. So one of the first things I wanted to address that I wish I had known or paid more mindfulness to is that it takes time for things to adjust, whether it's for yourself or for others, or, you know, just to help lower certain expectations in some areas. And what I'm trying to say is, in this part, is that when it came for pronouns or changing up what you wanted to name yourself as, or even, I don't know, any changes that are going to be significant for your day-to-day routine, you know, give yourself some patience and give others some patience. And I say this lightly because, for an example, it's going to be family members that, you know, just negate the fact that you want to change your, or transition into your more desired sex. But that's not anything to get over this concept that I'm trying to explain to you guys. For an example, for people that see you every single day, you're gonna have a different set of expectations on how they should perceive you or address you. But for those that see you maybe once every 5 years, 3 years, or whatever, they're obviously not going to make the same quick adjustment into knowing you or addressing you differently, especially if they don't have as much exposure. I guess the main thing right here is exposure. But, you know, if you wish to hold that against them, you can, but in the sense of mindfulness and just hoping, or in the sense of mindfulness and just wanting to get a better experience for yourself and not holding so much anger and animosity, it's better to just give them the chance and their space to grow in that process. But, you know, don't hang it over their head, because if your birth name is like Shanika and now you're going by Shawn, if you out in public and you're already physically transitioning and they call you Shanika, people gonna be looking at them like they got 5 heads or something, you know. So just know that it's a process for them too, and also for yourself, because like I was mentioning earlier, there was many times where I slipped up when I was just referring to myself and I said my birth name and I was like, I hope nobody heard that, you know. But, you know, because it's a change, it's a change, it's a different moment for you to adjust and grow accustomed to. The next thing that I have is a voice app. When I was first transitioning, I was kind of relying on my old videos and, you know, progression that would conjure up together at some point or put together at some point. But it became very tedious because it was like, oh, I gotta find a video from X year that I might not even have in the album no more. So I have a voice, I'm gonna put a picture right here, but it's a voice pitch analyzer app. So not only does it analyze where your voice transitions to from what is deemed to sound more feminine to more masculine to the middle ground, which is more androgynous, it also keeps track of where it was. Now, I wish there was like a recording section so you could play back, but it doesn't have that. Maybe there's better apps, but, you know, this was just one that I had seen and I started to use. However, I'm not sure how long it lasts for the actual recordings. Like, I remember I found it in my in the midst of all my other apps, and I just started playing around with it, and then I think 4 months later or so I played around with it again, but the previous one that I stored from 4 months ago wasn't there. That could be for a range of reasons. I gotten a new phone, you know, whatever. So I would take screenshots and maybe put that in an album, in conjunction of also maybe going in your voice memos and labeling it, first month on T, second month on T, for 1 year, etc. But that's just something I wish I had done, because, you know, those memories are precious. Those changes are also precious as well. When I was first starting, not only was I trying to, it was a little bit later on, as I was like kind of in my first year or two, where I was like, oh, maybe these memories are nice, because I know initially I was like, I just wanted to be smooth transition where nobody really notices or knows or pays too much attention. And then it was only when I started YouTubing, I was like, wait a second, these are actually really important to me. So also just taking note of that. Next, I would say, is the fact that you actually have a lot more control in your life than you think you do. I know I started transitioning, I want to say maybe 14 years old, 14, 15 years old. And at that age, of course, you're going to be relying more so on your parents and guardians. But do understand that you ultimately have the direction and the authorization on how your world wants to best outlay, how you want your life and your world to best move forward. Because depending on the amount of determination, grit, and tenacity that you have, you can make any outcome that you want in this lifetime. And it's very hard for a lot of people to conceptualize that, because they always look to certain individuals to help make the change. But as long as you have a will, you can get a support team that's going to believe in you and, you know, get you to where you want to be. And that was hard for me to understand, because I was like, because at first when I was transitioning, there was a lot of friction from certain portions of my family that were the most influential in my next steps in my journey. So I looked to my support team that I had at my school, my medical coordinator and medical director, and they were like, bet, we got you. We love you, we care for you, and we believe in you. So because of that, they held, like I said in my other videos, they held meetings with my parents and my guardians and others that, you know, were involved in my life, and they helped enact the change that I needed to see. And when I saw that, you know, in the motions, I was like, wait a minute, I also want to do this with my life. I want to do that with my life. I want to look like this in my life. You know, I really started painting a picture of where my life can be, and slowly throughout the years, what made me have so much success, in my opinion, is the fact that I really understood the value that my self-intuition and my self-wants and desires can be if I am to mentally map it out, and also believe in the fact that I can get and obtain the things that I want. I also want to harp on the fact that you have to have a set of realistic expectations going into transitioning. I, of course, wanted the deepest voice. I wanted like the overly masculine features, you know. Some things were like, yeah, perfectly works. Some things were like, perfect, yeah, I want that in my life. And then as I grew older, I was like, actually, I don't want exactly that. Like, for an example, I wanted to be as hairy as possible. As I grew older, I'm like, that is an inconvenience in certain respects. I like the amount of hair that I have now. And, you know, I'm still, like, I'm not the hairiest bucko. My legs are a lot worse, and my girlfriend always makes fun of me because of that, especially her little brother. But, like, that's just an example, like, but that's not needed, you know. So, and also the fact that I wanted to grow in height. Now I knew that they always said that height growth in that is very, very, very low. Starting off T, I was like 5'3", barely. Now I'm like 5'4", but it's like that could have been the fact because I started with T when I was 14. You know, I'm 20 now. That could have been just natural growth. That could have been the fact that, you know, and it's also like depending on who was measuring me that day, who was measuring me that day way back then and now and whatever in between. That little bit is so minuscule. It could have been the way my hair was. It could have been the way how I decided to stand up a little bit more, how I started to hunch around the other day. You know what I mean? So that variable is not contingent on testosterone. There's many factors that could have played a role to any time that I've been height measured. So that's like another expectation that I was hoping to be met, but various things could have played a role. And then also other things that you can think about just within yourself that you have expectations of. Now there is gonna be some that should be meeting expectations, but just know that not all are realistic and going to happen. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you are still human. This is still life. We're not playing Build-A-Bear. We're just hoping and putting in the necessary steps to be as healthy as you possibly can and do it in the way that you feel is right. All right, guys. In order to make this video short, I wanted to write a little bit of a list. I have a lot more things to say, but let me know if you guys like this video, and then I can keep going. And because I got a lot more things to say, I wrote a lot of things, but I can already tell this is getting a little bit too long, and I still gotta edit it a little bit. But I love you guys. I missed you guys a lot. If you've really enjoyed this video, please do not hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll definitely be seeing a lot more of me. Finally, time managed a little bit better. So, yeah. Love you guys. Deuces.